And welcome to the Part-Time Nerd Podcast with me, your host, Alan, and joining me, Mr. Saint Dave. How you doing, Rapid Dave?
Doing pretty good, man. How are you?
You know what? I'm doing good. Doing good. It's been a good day. Good day. Producing content today. It's a content creation type of day, you know?
I almost brought a bunch of different shirts just to slap them on.
Just to slap them all on.
Yeah, this and then just rip that one off. I got another one that's sitting here, just ready to go. Got to pivot. Got to be ready. But I didn't.
My hat forwards on this one, backwards on the next one. No hat for the other one. Yeah. You gotta. So here we are, guys. The Many Saints of Newark came out. A Soprano story. This has been. They actually finished filming this 2 years ago. I found out. This has been kind of sitting there. I think COVID kind of put it on the back burner for a while. But this is a prequel. It was. This was billed to me. This was billed as a Tony Soprano origin story.
Mm-hmm.
Was how I felt like this was billed. I don't feel like this was a Tony Soprano origin story.
No.
You didn't have as much Tony in there as I would have liked. Now, had they billed this differently, it's a Dickey story.
It's a Dickey Moltisanti story. Christopher Moltisanti's father.
Yeah. It's his story.
Mm-hmm.
But he did play. He had a heavy influence in Tony Soprano and who he became and what he became. So, yeah. To me, this was. I watched it and like I always have my notebook sitting here in front of me. And if you saw like right there at the beginning, you saw me kind of close my notebook, grab it, take it over, and just throw it over here because I don't have any notes. I don't have any notes of this. Now, let me be upfront and honest. I like The Sopranos. I haven't watched every season of Sopranos. I watched like the first 2 seasons, I think it was. And then I was in a time period in my life where I didn't have HBO. And then I got it again just before the last season and didn't have time to go through everything and had a buddy just tell me, it's like, hey, just watch the last season and then watch this season, you'll be good. So that's what I did. But it's been, God, how long has it been since Sopranos is off the air?
Listen, the fact that you haven't gone back and watched them all is depressing and quite concerning. All the other stuff that you watch and fill your time with, you've never gone back and rewatched The Sopranos.
I haven't.
It's a great show. I remember my dad watched it like religiously on Sundays. And that's when I would usually call him, like about 8 o'clock on a Sunday, and he'd be so pissed. He goes, like, can I call you back? And it was
you wonder why your kids always walk in just before you're going to record. They learned it from watching you.
It's such a crap. It's 8 o'clock on a Sunday. I don't know what it is in our family, but we interact with our fathers around that time. And that's when Tyler would come in about 8 o'clock on a Sunday. He'd come in there and hit the ice machine. Go, I don't like I have 8 o'clock on a Sunday. But the movie, you got to go back and definitely watch The Sopranos for you and anybody else that's watching. You should watch it. That's why I was super excited to see this. And I took it as a Tony Soprano movie. You know what I mean? It says a Soprano story. It's when he's very young. He's like 10. And then they show him later when he's like 15. I don't even know if he's 16, maybe 15 years old. And then that's it. That's when the movie ends. It's got some good characters. Oh my God. I mean, you get to see Pussy and God almighty, I'm going blank on everybody. Paulie, Sil. You get to see all these great legendary characters being portrayed by someone else, and they all nailed it. Every one of them nailed it. And the guy who did Silvio was so over the top, though, but he did such a good job because Sil is over the top.
Right. Yeah.
I thought it was fantastic. But Dickey Montessori, he was awesome. I thought he did a great job. When it opens, it's Christopher narrating. He's talking about who everyone is, and he talks a little bit more throughout the movie, just in over voice or voiceovers, and then obviously at the end and whatnot. But yeah, what'd you think? You liked the movie, but you just didn't live up to your expectations.
I did, but here's the thing with it. It's nothing happened. I mean, things happen, but nothing really happens. But to me, it felt like Sopranos, right? Because when you're watching the episodes, things are just happening, but nothing's really happening, if that makes sense, right?
This could have been 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Just if they just did a series, that's what I want. I want the prequels, just like we recorded earlier about the prequels coming out from Game of Thrones. I do
Mhm.
want prequels because I want more of this. And this nothing really happened. It takes state during I think the riots up in Newark in the '60s or something like
Yep.
that. So the city's on fire. Nothing really else is going on. They're not really doing anything. They're just kind of all hanging out, talking. This what's his name, Ray Liotta. He brings over a wife from Italy, and
Yeah.
then you know what I mean. Did we put spoilers on here?
Yeah, 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 yeah. We put
Well,
spoilers
Dicky
on.
Montes, his son kills him because he kicked his wife down the stairs over a douchebag or something like
That he
that.
was in love with. He was in
That he
love
was in
with
love
his
with.
mother-in-law.
Yeah,
Um,
stepmother, recent
yeah,
stepmother.
stepmom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he kills, and then he's got an associate that he's friends with that works for him and stuff like that. His associate, they're on the kind of the outs, and he ends up sleeping with the girl that his stepmom that he just killed his dad over to be with. So then he drowns her ass in the ocean.
God, yeah, he
They're
did.
out there having an amazing weekend on the coast, and then she goes ahead and reveals that she slept with someone else, and it was Harold. I think his name is Harold.
Yeah, Harold.
Yeah, her
It
ass gets drowned. Ray Liotta's got the
a brother.
twin brother that's in the pen for killing a maid guy,
Yeah.
and I liked him though. I liked Ray, Pin
I
Ray.
I like so when you first see it and I get Ray at the beginning, I'm like, all right, I love Ray Liotta, right? And he's kind of that mob bossy jerkish. I mean, he's good at playing that. And then when he kills him, I'm like, oh man, no more Ray. And then he goes to visit his brother's like, oh, Ray's back.
Like jackpot, baby.
Yeah, he's
This
back,
is like
baby. Let's
this is like
go.
Beer Fest. Pull the okey doke.
But yeah, but what I liked about that is it showed that temper, right? Dickie had that temper, and that's the same thing that happened, with Tony. He had that temper where he would just lose it from time to time. So you really got to see that. Now, what I would love is let's get a series from here, right after Dickie's death. You've got uh, James Gandolfini's son played him perfectly. Like I thought he did a good job. I would love to see more of him. You have all the characters casted, so let's just go from here and continue it on, and lead it till. But the one thing you didn't get is you didn't really get a feel for what they ran. They ran a numbers game. That's but you didn't get the feel for everything else
You
that
know,
that
they
they ran on.
they mentioned the sanitation. They mentioned a couple other things. Obviously everybody's kicking up to them in the neighborhood and things like that. So they're a relatively small organization, I think, at this point. But I'm with you. Don't go any further back or don't
Yep,
expand on this time frame. Just start it right now with
right
Dick
now.
being murdered at the end, and then let's go, and then you could bump it all the way up. I mean, there's going to be filler episodes where nothing's really going on. There's going to be things like that, but it's just more intricate details within each episode, which I really enjoyed with Sopranos. There was hardly a time where I was like, man, this episode sucked. There wasn't, because even just a little bit of something was great.
Right.
But yeah, they can bump it all the way up to the beginning of Sopranos, where Tony's walking out of the house in his robe, all flapping
Yeah.
open, whatnot,
Right.
going to therapy.
And
So
and I loved how it ended. Like Tony's standing there over Dickie,
you
and
didn't think it was cheap?
he's got that look, right? He's got that Tony Soprano look, and then that classic theme song kicks in. Like the theme song to Sopranos gets me jacked up. Like I just love that song. Like, all right, let's get into it.
A couple things after, like, so it ends, obviously they're at the funeral for Dickie Moltisanti, and that's what you're referring to, is when
Mhm.
Tony walks up. And you're right, his mannerisms, the way they slimmed him down a little bit, because his face is usually a bit more rounder. I don't know what they did to him, but they did make him look just like a young Tony Soprano would, for me. Talk just like him. I thought it was great. But yeah, then it goes to credits, and then it stops, and then there's Harold moving into a neighborhood, and I was
Yeah.
like, what's the so maybe I don't understand the point of that, but it was it. And then I was like, oh, okay, they're gonna show a couple more things. No, that was it. They're just, and then he pays the moving guys a couple, like $300, which is crazy. That's
Yeah.
how much it costs to move now. Like, Jesus. But that's one thing I don't get. Maybe they'll tie that into some of the other prominent figures in Sopranos. Like, there's a guy, there's a musician that's trying to shake down, I think, what's his name, in later episodes for music royalty rights and things like that. So we'll see. I mean, obviously they made it a point to put it there. So now I need to know why.
And maybe it's one of those where you got to go back and revisit, right? When you go back and revisit the show, something will be like, oh, okay, that's why that's there. And and if we were bigger Sopranos fans than we are, we would know. But you get what you get with us. That's why it's part time nerd. Okay, just part time. But I enjoyed it. You got to see at one point he's with Camille. So you see that he met her early on and stuff like that. Um, but it was fun. I enjoyed it. It didn't feel like it was 2 hours. I will say that it went by, and especially for a movie where not a lot. Again, like I talked about, nothing happens, but it happens. It really flew through. It was a pretty quick 2 hours.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I watched it the next day or whatever. I've already seen it twice, so really enjoyed it.
Okay, yeah, but it's fun. Watch it, enjoy it. You got anything else? But I know you're over there looking something up. You're scouring the pages
I
of the
was
internet.
trying to see if I could come up with the reason for the ending or whatever, but I was like,
Uh-huh.
I get too much reading. I was like, nah, that's good.
There's there's too many words on there, and
Yeah.
I don't know how to read them, so we're
It's
out of
a
luck.
hell of a breakdown for something. So no, I'm out.
Oh man, but guys, thank you so much for following, watching, like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Comment, send us emails, parttimenerdpodcast@gmail.com. Tell us what you want us to watch. If you know what the big deal was with Harold, tell us. Tell us. We want to know. We'll do the research, but we would rather someone tell us. Let's just be honest. So, but hey, guys, thank you again. Until next time, we will talk to you later. Deuces.